The 1D Health Passport unites the world's most advanced technologies to create a secure, verified, and automated system for creating and sharing personal health credentials. Designed for use across the public and private sectors, the 1D Health Passport can be tailored to provide a range of health credentials. I will be walking you through an example of how COVID-19 test results can be managed and tracked through the 1D Health Passport. In this example, we have an organization who registers an individual on the 1D network, someone who is required to take a PCR test, a nurse who administers the PCR test, and someone who can verify that the person's entry status is approved prior to entering into a specific place. The blockchain technology behind all of this information is built on Corda, the only NIST-compliant platform, and its leading encryption provides unparalleled security for sensitive health data. This example starts with an organization registering an individual on the 1D server. The organization is responsible for the person's information, which includes their name, email, and phone number. Other ways to add individuals to the 1D server include a CVS upload, manually entering them as an administrator in the 1D admin app, or through an enterprise integration system. Once the account is added on the 1D network, the person will automatically receive an email and an SMS message welcoming them to the 1D network. This is shown on the phone to the right. This message includes a QR code and a link to the declaration they are expected to complete prior to arriving at the testing pod to receive their PCR test. Once the declaration is complete, the declaration is then persisted on the 1D server in the blockchain network for future retrievals. We are now in the workflow where the person is required to go to the testing pod to get their PCR test. When the person arrives at the testing pod, they are required to present their PK pass or the QR code included in the message they received, which is then scanned by the nurse. That scan hits the 1D server and retrieves the list of claims that exist for that person. The nurse will review the customer's credentials and declaration claim. The nurse takes the temperature of the individual and logs the information on the 1D admin app. The nurse then registers the PCR test ID within the 1D admin app and then administers the test on the individual. The individual is now required to wait until they receive a notification from the 1D server about their entry status. Here I will demonstrate how that process appears within the 1D admin app. I am logging in as the nurse when the individual arrives at the testing pod. For this example, I am going to search for the individual by their name. You are also able to scan their QR code to find their information. Once I click on the individual's name, a list of their credentials appears on the screen. This screen is broken out by their identity, their declaration information, testing credentials, social distance badge requirements, and entry status. The icon to the left of the claim indicates the claim status. Completed claims appear with a green circle icon. Expired claims appear with a red circle icon with a slash through it, and claims that have not yet been completed appear with a white circle icon. After reviewing the information, I will then click on the declaration section prior to administering the PCR test. Each claim includes a value, an issue date, the location the claim was created in, and an option to be timed to expire, such as a case of COVID-19 tests. These claims are all recorded on the 1D network. When I click on the claim value, the individual's declaration appears with what they filled out. If everything is set to proceed, I will complete the person's testing requirements. For this example, I am adding the status of the person's temperature check, as well as filling out the person's PCR test ID. I am also adding an RTLS badge ID that will be registered to that person's profile. These claims can be modified to include other requirements, such as vaccination credentials or other healthcare-related information. Once the PCR test is administered, the individual is required to wait until they receive a notification on their testing results. We are now in the workflow where the nurse receives the PCR test results for the individual. The nurse searches for the individual in the 1D admin app. The nurse then updates the PCR test results and entry status for that individual. After the person's entry status is updated within the 1D admin app by the nurse, an email notification and an SMS message are automatically sent to that person about their entry status results. Here I will demonstrate how that process appears in the 1D admin app. I am logging in as the nurse after I received the individual's PCR test results. For this example, I am going to search for the individual by their name. You are also able to scan the QR code on the PCR test to search for that individual. I am going to now click on the PCR test results section to update that individual's results. The field appears in green if the person passed their PCR test. Since the person passed their PCR test, I will now update their entry status to allow them to enter into the facility. In this example, we have the option to select Permitted, Return to Pod, or Denied. These fields can be customized to meet other requirements as well. After the person's entry status is updated, an email notification and an SMS message are automatically sent to that person about their entry status results. We are now in the workflow where the individual is required to verify their entry status results in order to enter into a specific facility. The individual received the email notification and an SMS message about their entry status results. This is displayed on the phone to the right. This QR code within the message, along with the QR code that was originally sent to the individual to fill out their declaration, can be loaded into the person's wallet on their smartphone as a PK Pass. This code allows the customer to easily retrieve their digital health credentials. The customer presents their 1D Health Passport, which is displayed on the phone to the right, for verification to enter into the specific facility. The 1D Health Passport is scanned by the verifier through the 1D Verifier app to retrieve the account claims for that person. The verifier will review the customer's information to determine if they are allowed to enter into the facility. In conclusion, I just demonstrated how the 1D Health Passport allows our society to verify people are safe to enter into a specific place, as well as provide an immutable record of that individual's healthcare credentials. The 1D Health Passport is an essential tool for empowering a safer, new normal.